Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. At the Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting on December 14th, Director Greer Carson gave his monthly report.
So as always, I'd like to share a few highlights very quickly. The Bacon Kits launched in November. This collection of things, part of our Library of Things collection, was the winning proposal for this year's Library Innovation Grant, or what we used to call the Pioneer Grant. Our team behind the collection will be sharing some information and community feedback and some anecdotal experiences with you all at an early 2023 board meeting, but we're glad that that's out there now. We are now partnering with the Indiana Bar Foundation to provide a self-service legal help kiosk here at the downtown library. It's actually on the second floor, right as you get up the stairs and turn to the right. It focuses on providing resources and documents supporting those facing housing instability, but there will be updates to the machine and its system in the near future. We are one of the first organizations in Indiana to provide this for our community, and Indiana is actually one of the few states in the nation doing it. As usual, we have some heartwarming experiences and quotes from our Vital patrons, and because I know there was a question last month regarding the number of Vital volunteers and our wait list, we touched base with our Vital team and got some responses to that question. So we actually don't have a lack of volunteers for Vital at the moment. Rather, we're in the middle of rebuilding the Vital volunteer infrastructure, specifically administrative systems and our training program, and this is to be more effectively meeting the needs of the adults learning English as a new language and adults with literacy challenges. And this has a necessary impact on our wait list right now. We're adapting to the emerging needs of the populations. We're working to build training programs that address the current priorities of digital literacy skills and English for beginner and pre-beginner learners. And we're working closely with the Bloomington and Indianapolis-based Exodus education staff. Our partnership with Broadview Learning Center continues to thrive, and we're exploring revisiting the Advocacy Council previously in place, and this was pre-COVID, which is a quarterly meeting of local adult education representatives in order to discuss opportunities and needs and resources. And the groundwork for all of this will be in January. As we're rebuilding our volunteer corps for tutoring and the programs which manage it, we are also providing supplemental learning opportunities in the form of literacy kits and promoting self-paced resources. And as always, the Vital e-learning library link on our website is an excellent place for people to start who want to learn and practice at home, even if they're on our wait list. So thank you for that good question. We are adding a new outreach van stop starting in January. This is for the new Autumn Park Senior Living Facility on the west side of Ellettsville. Teen Services conducted a great historical fiction assignment with our friends at the Project School. Those are my highlights. Happy to answer any questions.
Board member and secretary Kari Essery remarked that the library is hosting a lot of additional services. Carson responded that the 21st Century Library has a unique role to fill.
We're having medical things here, we're having legal things here. I mean, this is an all-service point.
That's right, yeah. Sort of like the journey of the 21st century public library is to figure out what is it that we can do that we're not doing, and does it fit within our workflow somehow? And if it does, we try to pursue it, so yeah.
The next Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting will be held on January 18th. At the Monroe County Community School Corporation Board meeting on December 14th, Superintendent Dr. Jeff Hauswald discussed the successful referendum and thanked the Political Action Committee for their hard work.
As you know, at the last meeting, we made some comments about the successful referendum and what it means to our staff and our students. I must say that having had the opportunity to be out in some of our schools and our classrooms, our teachers, our employees have been very grateful. We're going to talk a little bit about a job fair that we're late at the end of the meeting, if you want to stick around, in which we're going to talk about the impact that our increased wages are having on the ability to attract and retain qualified staff. But all of this comes through a partnership with our Political Action Committee. That's the Say Yes for MCCSC organization and group. They met weekly and tirelessly to advocate for not only public education, but for Monroe County Community School Corporation. So tonight, we are going to celebrate the passing of the referendum. Our PAC has ordered thank you cookies, the hearts. You may have seen them all over the district for the last 6 months. everything from I Heart MCCSC to support the referendum. So I know that the PAC has paid for through private fundraising efforts, cookies that we're going to offer for the public at the end of the meeting. And they were made, I believe, by the culinary arts student at the Hoosier Heirs Career Center. So they were student made. They paid the students to make them as a fundraiser, and they're here tonight. At the end of the meeting, we encourage you to take one, but we do want to celebrate the passing of the referendum. And so we have the PAC chair, that's Valerie Pena, here tonight. And we've asked her to say a few words and for us to have the opportunity to thank her for the grassroots advocacy she did and the role she played in passing the referendum.
PAC Chair Valerie Pena spoke and shared the committee's plans to continue their efforts to inform the public about how the referendum has benefited the community.
I cannot take all the credit for this, as anyone who has ever worked on any one of these referendums knows. It does truly take a village. Just as it takes a village to raise a child, it took a village to raise the awareness and the need that we had through the with the referendum. And while we can celebrate an enormous success, pretty much on target where we had hoped to pass at about 70%, that also tells us that there's 30% out there who don't necessarily see the value that the rest of us do. And so we do not have our work finished. It is important that we don't let the time between referendums slide. And because of that, Dr. Hoswell and I had an opportunity to brainstorm with a lot of the volunteers, which there were dozens and dozens of volunteers who stepped up and did a tremendous amount of standing at a farmer's market, knocking on doors, putting door hangers, standing at the poll stations, making phone calls, just emails, social media going out, all kinds of things like that, putting out yard signs. That were all very much a part of this. And one of the things we talked about is we are not going to actually let the website shut down as it traditionally has in between PAC times, between referendum times. We're going to keep it alive, and we're going to keep telling the story. So as every single benefit that comes because of the referendum to the school corporation, we're going to tell that story. We're going to put it on the website. We're going to talk about it social media wise so that it becomes easier and easier for folks who may have said, I'm not going to pass that tax because I don't know what happens to that money. We're going to tell them what happens to that money. And we're going to celebrate the students and the teachers and the programs that get to get the benefit of that support from our community. So that's going to be a very important part of it. And I think it kind of does say a little bit that the PAC will never die either. Which there are a few of us who probably are like, oh, great. But I think it is an important part that we continue to show the school corporation and the teachers and administrators and staff and students that every day you are important to this community. And so it is our job to every day be advocating for you. So thank you on behalf of everyone who, many of them are in this room. And so thank you so much. They went way above and beyond what they needed to do, but I think we can all say it was a good year, and we all truly do love MCCSC.
The MCCSC Board of School Trustees will have their annual reorganizational meeting on January 3rd, and their next regular meeting will be held on January 24th. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
There for me every day.
Believing in me, showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
To say I can rather than I can't.
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
To finish school.
To own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner.
With you in my corner, I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. On December 14th, at the Monroe County Commissioners meeting, Health Department Director Lori Kelly gave an update on flu cases and vaccines.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just a few updates. We are seeing high levels of flu cases across the county and the state at this time. As a reminder, the Public Health Clinic has flu shots and all vaccines available. You can call 812-353-3244 for an appointment. We have seen a small increase in COVID cases compared to last week. Averages are around 11 cases increased per day. And the FDA has authorized emergency use of the bivalent booster for ages 6 months to 5 years for Moderna and 6 months to 4 years for Pfizer. The Public Health Clinic should be receiving orders of this later this week.
Next, the commissioners heard from County Attorney Jeff Cockerell, who presented an agreement with the Indiana University Board of Trustees that allows the Indiana Institute on Disabilities and Community to implement a survey of people currently and formerly incarcerated at the county jail.
Yes, we discussed this in detail at last week's work session where it was approved. As that conversation occurred, the approval was subject to a few things which have been added to the document. One is contingent upon approval of appropriation by the county council and acceptance by the Monroe County Sheriff and the Monroe County Board of Judges, as well as this program is to give surveys to people who are in or have been in our correctional facility. So those surveys questions are subject to review and approval by the sheriff to make sure everybody's understanding what's going on.
The commissioners unanimously approved the survey. At the Ellettsville Town Council meeting on December 12th, Town Marshal Jimmy Durnall thanked Deputy Marshal and School Resource Officer Alec Leggio for his work protecting the students at Edgewood Junior High. This comes after the school was informed by a student that another student had brought a gun to school, which Leggio confiscated before anyone got harmed.
As most of you know, we had an incident at the school last Thursday morning. That could have been disastrous. You know, through the staff and cooperation with the RSROs, it was diverted. This weapon that was found was hid so well that Alec had to search a couple times to find it. But on the morning of December 8th, Alec, would you come up, please? With your big smile. Dr. Sanders, would you like to come up too? We'll include you in the presentation. On the morning December 8, 2022, a Richland Bean Blossom student reported that they thought a junior high student had a gun in his possession on the way to school. Officer Leggio was immediately notified, and with the administrators of the staff, they located the weapon. This meritorious action indicates that the highly need for trained uniformed police officers to be present in all of our school buildings.
Valerie Dewar of the Ellettsville Chamber of Commerce thanked him for his work. She also commented that as a retired teacher, she would have appreciated having a student resource officer.
As a veteran teacher of 40 years, I have to tell you, there are times that you feel totally exposed in a classroom. And SROs were not a part of my life, and I wish they would have been. I probably would have felt a lot better.
Next, the council discussed the way they pay for the town manager position. Council member Pamela Samples questioned why the town does not pay for the position in the same manner as other positions.
I guess I don't see the point in why we don't pay the town manager out of the town money like we do everybody else. I mean, to me, that would be like me having Sandy, when I do the poll recruiting, having Sandy to send my money for town council to them and letting them pay me for one check.
Town manager Mike Farmer responded, saying he asked for this payment system because he thought it would better suit the way his pension is set up. The contract was presented to the council to cover 5 years. However, Councilmember Scott Oldham suggested that they look at the contract every year and increase the salary by 5% each time to eventually reach an amount a future town manager would be willing to accept.
Let's go ahead and kind of separate these out if they're agreeable to it. Go ahead and put 45 in there if Mike's comfortable with that, or whatever you guys are comfortable with for this year. But let's put it on an evergreen clause so it's not really a 5, 6, 7 year, if this is agreeable to you.
Yeah.
Where it just continues rolling over every year. But let's also think ahead a little bit. At $45,000, we're getting an incredible bargain to have a town manager there. We know at some point this town manager, sorry Mike, is going to leave us. So let's get ourselves used to actually paying for that town manager so it's not sticker shock later. So we add in an evergreen clause every year at plus 5% every year it rolls over, or however 7% or whatever you want to do. Because that way we eventually get that salary to when he does leave, hopefully 20, 30 years from now, we're paying him what we would be paying the next person as they come in, as opposed to having to make a $40,000 adjustment or whatever.
The council said they will make a final decision on the matter at their meeting on January 9th. And we will have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
Welcome back to Cats Week. The Community Justice Reform Committee met on December 12th to continue their proposal to build a new Monroe County jail. County Councilor Jennifer Crossley said she does not feel comfortable moving forward with the Fullerton Pike property after hearing from experts and community members.
I don't know if I feel fully comfortable in continuing with me personally. I don't know if I feel comfortable in going with the Fullerton Pike property. And here's why. We have experts that are here, and we have experts that have weighed in and we being the financial body and in the county, it almost feels like we are telling people that are experts how to do their job in a way that seems to be that it's going to make it harder. I counted, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, over 20 responses out of, I think, the 30 that y'all were reading of people that had said, bad idea, this is harmful, this is lots of things. How are we gonna, like, winter is coming, you know, things like that. The one person that made 7 responses that stuck out a lot to me, and that's what I wrote down in my notes. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable. I know it's late in the game to say that, considering that it's going to first reading for the city council on Wednesday. I don't feel comfortable. I just feel like I need to say that because as a committee member and also a financial member responsible for things, I've said this since the very beginning of me being on this committee, that I feel like we are really rushing into something, that this is a really challenging moment for us right now, where we can set ourselves up to succeed or set ourselves up to fail. And the findings, and I'm sure, and I'm so curious to hear what the judges' surveys will say next month. Although my hunch is that it probably won't be far off from what we have heard this evening, really gives me great pause. And I ask us to take a pause for a minute to figure out what the heck it is that we're about to do. I no longer feel comfortable with the Fullerton Pike property. I don't know if everybody got the community response from the one individual that, okay, so, and I saw that last night. And then I saw it this morning and was finally feeling well enough to respond to it today, and I did. But in the Ray report, and I'm looking at it right now, which is why I'm staring at my computer screen, and it talks about how we should be making a comparative study of cost, renovating cost. If that's in the report that we took the time to do and have somebody do and the county paid for it to do, I think we need to push ourselves to look at, for sake of transparency, and what community members have been asking for, I think it would be necessary for us to have that just as a comparative way for us to see what it is that we're doing. I'll stop talking here in a little bit because I, again, want to hear public comment, but I just feel like we are pushing something that just does not feel right. And I ask ourselves to really think about what it is that we're about to do, what we're trying to do, and to slow down while making sure that we are taking care of those that are incarcerated while they are there, but truly think about how lives will be changed, how employees' lives will be changed, how the trajectory of this location could change for 40 plus more years to go. So I just felt like I needed to say that as well. But I would personally ask for us to have a comparative cost of renovating, and for us to really, after these surveys are done, to really take our time to think about what it is that we're about to do. Because I think this almost feels like a train wreck that we can't stop watching, that we're watching.
Monroe County Commissioner Lee Jones responded, saying that she has heard complaints about the process of building a new jail, but she has not heard many solutions.
The feeling up to now has been that we know that building, and I'm not talking about the jail in particular, I'm talking about the entire building, has big problems. And it's going to be difficult to deal with those. And then, of course, doing this evaluation is going to cost quite a bit. When we have had an evaluation done, admittedly not at that level, But certainly we can look into doing that. At the same time, I want to say that when we ask questions like these, it's very easy for people to talk about what's wrong and what they don't like. But what I noticed was that people talked about all kinds of things that are wrong with our jail now. But no one has really talked about how to make it right. And well, I didn't hear anything that really addressed it very well. But I think these are things we still have to learn about, look into. But it would be helpful if we could kind of balance the negative with positive, at least attempt to look and see if there are solutions for things aside from the way it's always been done. But that may be difficult, and it may turn out that we can't really do that.
The Community Justice Reform Committee will meet again on January 9th. At the December 14th meeting of the Bloomington City Council, Attorney Stephen Lucas explained Resolution 22-20, which would create a capital improvement board to operate the Monroe Convention Center expansion project.
Most recently, folks from the city and county have been meeting to figure out what sort of entity will oversee the operations and the expansion project itself. The city administration has expressed support for a 501c3 nonprofit entity. Both the county commissioners and the county council now have expressed support for a capital improvement board, which is an entity provided for in state law that many other communities use to manage their convention centers. And so this resolution tonight gives the council an opportunity to weigh in on this question. It expresses support for the creation of a capital improvement board and encourages the city administration to continue working with folks in the county to address any remaining questions left open after the Commissioner's Ordinance 2022-46 was adopted.
Director of Public Engagement, Mary Catherine Carmichael, said the Office of the Mayor would prefer to manage the convention center as a 501c nonprofit rather than take the Capital Improvement Board route.
The issue in question is simply what form of organization is it going to take to get that done most effectively. And it's after literally 6 years of study and talk. We've come to the conclusion that our preference would certainly be and strongly be a 501c3, but we understand too that well-intentioned people can have different opinions, and that's okay. So happy to be with you this evening to further discuss this. Thank you.
The resolution to support a capital improvement board passed by an 8-1 vote, with Council Member Kate Rosenbarger voting no. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.